Welcome into this week's Grizzlies Spotlight, covered by ATI Physical Therapy. I'm Sam Levitt, and I'm joined by the guy they call Blue on this Gateway team, Dakota Smith, the right-hander out of Kansas. We'll get to the nickname in just a second, but first, how's this year been so far?
I mean, it's a lot of fun. We've got a lot of talent this year, and the energy is good in the locker room, and I mean, everything's starting to come together little by little, so we're excited about it.
You went to the University of Kansas. Now, I hear everybody call you Blue, and I assume that was because, Blue, Kansas, but that's not the case.
No, Blue's my middle name, so it's B-L-E-U, kind of like blue cheese, and I don't know.
Now, why did Mom and Dad decide to give you that middle name?
Well, I guess the story is that my dad wanted to call me Blue, and my mom wasn't having it, so I got Dakota instead, and Blue got to be my middle name, and it's been a good little joke ever since I was born, I guess, so.
Well, Mom and Dad, guess what? Everybody here calls him Blue anyway, so somebody lost that argument as Dakota Smith joins us on this week's Grizzlies Spotlight. Like we said, you went to the University of Kansas, grew up in Kansas. What was that experience like playing for the in-state team and the team that everybody loves?
I mean, it was a lot of fun. When you get there, it's a completely different experience from the rest of Kansas, and everything's first class, and the basketball program's obviously the big thing there. But you get there and everything's beautiful. People are awesome, and it's just a really great experience to have.
Now, the interesting part about your college career was in college you were primarily a hitter, played outfield. You hit over .330 one season, but when you got to professional baseball, you decided to become a pitcher and focus on pitching. Why was that?
Honestly, I had 4 good years at KU, and I figured if I wasn't going to get picked up as a hitter there, let's try the other thing I was really good at while I was there, and that was pitching. And so I came here, and I expected to try to pitch only, and they actually wanted me to two-way a little bit. So tried that out a little bit, and I think pitching's where it's sticking.
Now, we can't have a conversation about KU without touching on the basketball team, right? So Rock, Chalk, Jayhawk, do you get to go to a lot of basketball games when you're another student athlete at KU?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I did a lot of the basketball games in the recruiting process. While you're there, though, it's a really fun thing to do. You get there, and there's 16,000 people at every game. The stadium's shaking. I mean, it's electric. It's a completely different experience from anything else I've ever been a part of.
You joined this Grizzlies organization in 2015, had a nice end to last season, and certainly I know you had a lot of development during the offseason, maybe a couple of ticks up in velocity as well. What was your goal during the offseason, and as you take a snapshot here in 2016, what do you want to improve on?
I mean, obviously I want to be a lot more consistent. I kind of struggled walking a lot of guys last year and trying to figure out a routine. I spent a lot of the offseason trying to figure out a routine, so that after I got done pitching, I knew what I was going to do leading up to the next time, and that was the hardest adjustment coming from a position player. So I think I figured that out a little bit more this year, and it's been helping a lot from the recovery process.
Let's talk more about that routine. What do you mean by that as far as getting into a routine? Is that more of a day-to-day type thing, how to spend your time? Oh,
definitely. I mean, it goes from working out to what are you going to do after you threw to what are you doing for running, what are you going to do post-throw, pre-throwing. I mean, everything's got to have a routine when you're a pitcher, and when you're an outfielder, it's show up, run, throw, and hit, and get after it. So it's been a long process, and I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But I mean, having the guys here that know what they're doing really helps.
Right-hander Dakota Smith joining us on this week's Grizzlies Spotlight, covered by ATI Physical Therapy. Dakota, thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next week here on the Grizzlies Spotlight, covered by ATI.